For China, it's one country, two systems, not two systems, one country. And so for China, the priority is always going to be ensuring that Hong Kong is and behaves as part of China. So there are, there were always going to be limits to the degree of tolerance Beijing would have for diverse behavior. The problem is, I think, that what China could do to ease the situation is almost certainly not going to do so, and may in fact exacerbate it. To the extent that China has a positive approach to dealing with this issue, it is to emphasize the economic issue, the fact that things like housing and jobs are becoming more and more difficult. But while the economic component is a significant part of the protesters' dissatisfaction, the real issues are political and cultural. What it boils down to is a fear of Hong Kong of coming under a Chinese system that seems ever more authoritarian, ever more repressive, and that of course is a problem that Beijing does not know how to address. I think the Hong Kong protests are important not just because of Hong Kong, but if anything more so in respect of Taiwan, which is a major piece of unfinished business for the Chinese Communist Party. Reunification with Taiwan is the prize that every Chinese leader would like to deliver, and I think that's particularly true of President Xi Jinping, who has a strong sense of history and a strong sense of destiny. And of course, what has happened in Hong Kong has had a very damaging effect in terms of China's interests, because Taiwan already was feeling quite alienated from the mainland. An entire generation of young Taiwanese have grown up lacking the family and cultural connections with the mainland that their parents had. At the moment, Taiwan is being run by the DPP, a party that came perilously close to advocating for Taiwan independence, which is a red line for China. The developments in Hong Kong make it likely that in next year's presidential election, a DPP candidate, the current incumbent Tsai Ing-wen, will probably get re-elected. At the very least, it makes it almost impossible for any presidential candidate in Taiwan to campaign on a ticket of closer relations with China or one country, two systems. Obviously, there are a number of important known unknowns, including what the U.S. government's actual position will be. Frankly, I think that's the only external actor whose views and behavior really do matter, because they are seen as the kind of guarantor of Taiwan's security. Whether that will come to pass on the day remains to be seen. But for example, if the congressional legislation, the Hong Kong Human Rights and Democracy Act, it has been passed, but if it is enacted, what that eventually says is that Hong Kong's ability to enjoy a separate customs status with the USA will henceforth be dependent on the extent to which China is perceived as respecting the one country, two systems model. And things like that could have significant adverse impact.